Welcome to Unemployed and Afraid, a podcast that explores the glorious mess of building your own business with the people doing it. I'm your host and fellow business builder, Kim Kerton. Thank you for being here. Let's get into some good, honest, small business chat. When you feel the desire, the overwhelming desire to completely stop doing something in your business, or all of the things in your business, it's kind of awful. I've had so many conversations with people over the years who will describe the desire to build your own business as giving yourself more freedom to work on the things that you really want to, and various other descriptives of the grass being greener. But the reality is that for a lot of the time, you'll be creating content that seems to go nowhere. You'll be working really hard building things like documents, processes, resources, pitches, presentations, the list of things goes on. And also there is a whole lot of getting your hopes up, only for those hopes to go in the opposite direction of up and leave you feeling pretty shit. That's exactly what happened to me a few weeks ago before I went into what I'll call a little bit of a rot session. It was off the back of a really great month, which, I'll tell you all about the great stuff, knowing that there's going to be some average stuff. The pod, this amazing aspect of my business right here that you are listening to, thank you for that, was doing really well by most measures. I was far ahead in the recording. I have strong listenership, again, thank you, but been feeling quite creatively inspired and had just wrapped up a partnership with an epic advertising partner who had come on board to support the show. And of course, financial support for a show like this is like imperative. You need it to survive. It's really, really hard without that. I had a great week in Sydney, which is absolutely my spiritual home and where I plan on moving back to as soon as practically / financially possible. And I had some meetings with great media industry friends while I was there, and amazing client catch up I'm working on for their brand-led original podcast network. I'm helping them strategically develop a stack of shows and educate on the medium of podcasting. And I was speaking at the Content Bite Summit, moderating a panel on interviewing and storytelling for an amazing room of freelancers and creatives. And I also had one very big pitch meeting, which I had prepared for like crazy. All in all, what I just described was a total dream week for me. It's exactly what I've been working towards all of these years. And I came into the week itself feeling pretty tired. Like it was already a bit of an energy drain to get there and then, of course, going through all of those commitments. But the thing is, like after I left all of that like amazingness of the week, I left my favorite city with no outcome for at least another month on the big pitch. And for context, it's been some months already. No more advertiser support for the pod, given I'd been too busy to find a new partner. No more speaking engagements booked for the immediate future. And a big client project that was all but wrapped. So when I got home, I sunk into a hell of a haul. It wasn't that all the things I did were like too hard of work or I didn't know how to do them. I did. And yeah, it was hard work, but we always work pretty hard, right? Like we're building businesses and brands. It was that I knew I needed to go again to keep the energy up and do the continuous, sometimes relentless, often grinding tasks that actually make all of these opportunities possible. And I just didn't feel like I had it in me. So I stopped. I just totally stopped. I had to. I just felt like I wanted and needed to like sit and rot. And now, because we're business builders, we know that stopping or rotting doesn't actually look like taking a break and sitting on a bloody lily pad for a few hours a day. Maybe it does at some stages and for some people, and I do love that for you. And it doesn't always look like stopping something in your business so that you can reset and like write a book in, the break, or in my instance, what perhaps I could have been doing if circumstances were different, pull together the course. It just looked like doing the bare minimum. No publishing episodes for this podcast, no posting on socials. That all felt way too energy taxing. I just didn't have anything to give and was second guessing a lot of what I had to give too. And mainly I just replied to some emails, not all of them. There's definitely people in my inbox that have been waiting extraordinary amounts of time for me to get back to them, and chatting with my accountant about other health. I mean, I don't know, the feels on that. And a spot of dental surgery, which massively sucked. And this rot period, it for sure set me back. And that's the thing that frustrates me a lot about business building and the narratives that it gives you more freedom. Sometimes it means that you get none. And most of the times it means that if you stop, you just suffer. You don't get ahead. That doesn't always sound like freedom to me. And there's definitely business models and hard work that can result in you being in a position to then get you the said freedom. But often it just looks like a lot of grinding, a lot of figuring it out. And whenever you take a break, it means that there isn't any more energy going into the business other than the business as usual stuff, so that you're not really getting ahead anywhere. But sometimes stopping, regardless of all that, is just what has to happen. To stop being productive and just sit in the feels, as shitty as they are and as shitty as they were for me, and work through them. Like no epic holiday or staycation, no focused creation period, just a whole lot of potatoing around the house. Potatoing in the sense of sitting around feeling like a potato, but also eating a lot of potatoes and doing the bare minimum and feeling really, really sorry for myself. And I started to think I might not ever be able to get out of it. Like I was just done. I was like, well, now what? And then I saw a meme. Isn't that just the classical New World thing to say? But in the depths of my hole, after a number of weeks in said place, I saw this come up on my feed. It said, "You are never just rotting. You are fermenting, effervescing, simmering, bubbling, stewing. You are a piece of artisan sourdough in the making. You are sauerkraut, kimchi, soup. You have so much to give." Honestly, it made me laugh so much, but it cut through and made me shift my mindset. It, I guess, like finished off my ferment. I was said sourdough or kimchi. That seems more relative. Seemingly overnight, my creative ideas, they started to flow again. They're coming together. Pieces started coming together that I have been churning over, and it started to kind of just like fall into place. And I started to feel my confidence to share come back in like impactful places that I have for my business, which is LinkedIn. Like the confidence to share there really kicked in again. And I landed a few ideas, but also just streams of thought, not just necessarily here's a new idea that I can do, but oh, this is how I can potentially get from here to here. These are some small actions that I could take that could have a really positive, pebbling effect for a bigger thing in the future. And importantly, I felt a little bit more in control of the uncontrollable. So I got to a place where my little sourdough baking had bubbled, and things like where the F is my next line of revenue coming from and what opportunities are in my pipeline felt a little bit more manageable. I felt calmer, and I started to think about how I could put more things in there in a calm and easeful way. The internet gurus will 100% tell you that a break to sit quietly is the best thing for you. Hell, like I've definitely given that advice. It's the yogi in me, and they're not wrong. But they fail to recognize that when it's you that's solely responsible for your professional growth and income, that a break like that is so rarely possible. And we always hear that we should be spending more time in nature, meditating, catching up with friends, or getting a massage when we're stressed, like taking an action to fix and get ourselves out of this kind of cycle of stress and anxiety to be able to do all the things that we dream for ourselves. But you know what? Sometimes we also just need to sit in 2-week worn track pants and watch Selling Sunset until our eyes nearly bleed, only to then switch to TikTok because we can't stand the silence and consume that for hours on end. And that's perfectly okay. Maybe perhaps not for too long, and like definitely not forever, but it's perfectly okay. So next time you sink into what could be described as a rot, remember you're just fermenting. You will be ready soon. And the things that pile onto you that feel like too much, you will be ready again to face those and with more positivity. I was finally ready to step back into this last week, and it feels very good to be back. Dropping the latest episode for you, which I did just a couple of days ago with Fee Mims, was a great re-entry, as it was exactly what I needed to hear when I went through the editing process to get it sorted for you. So make sure you give it a listen if you haven't already. I will put the link in the show notes for you. Also, guess what? Because this episode releases on Thursday, the 3rd of October, which in my time right now is tomorrow, because today, where I'm recording this for you, is the 2nd of October. See, I was not exaggerating when I said I completely let the wheels fall off through my little ferment period. But anyway, guess what? Today, I was told that this podcast, Unemployed and Afraid, the one you've chosen to listen to, has made the finalist list for the best business podcast in the Australian Podcast Awards. Oh, let me tell you, the tears, they were flowing this morning. It just felt amazing to have something come through that positive. And the show is up against 4 other incredible shows, but honestly, none of that matters. I legit feel like I've already won being a finalist. And I don't know if I would feel quite so great if I hadn't had my little ferment period, but I'm very proud. And of course, if I win, don't worry, I will absolutely tell you about it on every platform I can possibly reach you. If you want to see my reaction to the finalist nom, I put a video on the Unemployed and Afraid Instagram. I did, in fact, completely lose my shit. If you are feeling a little bit shit at the moment, firstly, I'm really sorry to hear that. I understand it. It's very valid. But please know it will pass. Give yourself whatever you need, because what you're doing is hard. When you build a business and a brand at any scale, you have to face the darkest and most frustrating parts of yourself and develop yourself right along with it. You are building yourself too, and sometimes that feels really challenging. And if you're flying high right now, feeling really good, yes, I love this for you. Send me that energy, because as a one-woman show, I need all of the extra energy I can get, and I'm incredibly happy for you. We have those times too. It is light, it is dark, it is all of the shades in between. And if you're listening on Spotify right now and you've got some good energy you want to send my way, or just some lols, whatever, there's a cool new function where you can comment on this episode and have a chat with me. So I will see all of those comments, and you best believe I will be replying to all of them. So please, if you are listening on Spotify, take a look at your app. You can send me a little comment on there. For now, though, it is onwards and upwards, my fellow kimchi and or sourdough friends. We have absolutely got this. Thank you for listening to Unemployed and Afraid, the podcast for small business builders with your host, me, Kim Kerton. If you love it, you can say thanks with a star rating and a review. And of course, join the community on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Find us at Unemployed and Afraid wherever you're hanging out, and I'll see you there.